back, everybody. This is Anthony from Pinehead.tv. You can follow me on Twitter at AnthonyDJames. Today we're going to be looking a little bit more of the Crossrider JavaScript framework. If you're not familiar with the Crossrider framework, you can go to Crossrider.com to view some of the screencasts, or you can go to Pinehead.tv, and on the top menu, select JavaScript and then Crossrider, and that'll give you your first few introduction to Crossrider screencasts to get you up to speed. Today we're going to continue on looking at the database API for Crossrider. The database API is basically, it's storing, or it's a local extension storage, which means we're going to store information inside of the browser itself. For example, inside of Chrome, we're going to save the database storage into a local SQL database. Firefox will store these items into the internal preferences, and Internet Explorer will store these items in a Windows registry. So they will be independent based off the browser. The good thing is that Crossrider is going to do all that back-end heavy lifting for us. All we have to do is learn a few API calls for Crossrider, and it will be able to work in all three of those browsers with one set of code for us. So let's go ahead and get started. As you can see here, I have a little bit of cheat sheet code already out here, and we're going to be, let me get back to my local, and we're going to be working on the extension.js. It's important to note that the app.api.db function API calls also work in the background.js file. But for the purposes of this application, we're going to be building a simple page view counter. After we build a simple page view counter, I'm also going to demonstrate how to get remote information or access an external URL to pull information into your application extension. So let's go ahead and get started. And like I said, I chose the extension.js because every time we reload a new page, we want to count it. So we're going to create a page counter in order to make this work. Okay, so let's get started and look at a few of the APIs that are available to us. We have API, app.api.db.set, and then what we have here is the key name, is what it's called in Crossrider. The key name is basically how you identify this table, or how you identify this specific set of information. So we're going to call this page views. Next, we have a certain amount of information. Well, this is the information that we can actually store inside of there. So if we're going to go ahead and start with our page view application, let's start with our db.get and see if anything is declared in our variable. So what we'll do is we'll create a variable, var page viewed equals app.api.db.get, and we're going to call it page viewed is our key name. So what we're doing is we're getting the information that's stored inside of the page viewed key name. Okay, next what we want to do is we want to see if there's anything stored in there. So we'll do if page viewed, our variable, so it'll be capital. Let's go ahead and separate these so it's more distinct. Page viewed equals null. Then we're going to say page viewed equals 0. So our page counter is going to start at 0. Okay, so next what we want to do is when the page is reloaded, we want to increment our page viewed by 1. So we're just going to use a simple page viewed plus 1 variable. So we'll do page viewed equals page viewed plus 1. So now we've incremented that information. Next what we want to do is we want to update the key value, the key name, our table essentially in our local storage. We want to update that to reflect the number of hits we currently have. So we're going to set that new variable with new information. So we'll do app.api.db.set, and then we're going to do our key name, which is page viewed, viewed, and then right here is the data that's supposed to go with it, and so that's actually just going to be our page viewed variable, and it's set. What we didn't do here is we can actually add another parameter that is the expiration of this information. So let's say we want our page counter to expire at the end of one day. So the next parameter will be our expiration, and we're going to use the Crossrider API that allows us to do time.days from now. So it's app.api.time.days from now, and in one day all of this information will be erased and started over. Okay, so now how do we know that this has worked? Okay, well, let's go ahead and test that. So I'm going to use a simple console.log, and I'm going to test page viewed variable is, we're going to view the page viewed variable, table information, and we are going to pull out this information again and take a look at it. Actually, we don't need to because it's already set as page viewed. However, if we want to pull this information out, and I'm going to do this just for the purpose of showing you this, is we'll do var new pages equals app api.db.get page viewed, and we'll add that variable here. So all I'm doing is demonstrating how, basically what's going to happen is these two things are going to be the same number. And I'm demonstrating how you'll pull the information. Even though we already did it up here, I went ahead and re-demonstrated it down here. So let's go ahead and save this. And I'm going to work in Chrome. So I'm going to open up my Chrome browser. And I don't already have my extension loaded. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to load my extension. I'm going to click on Settings and then Tools and then Extensions and then Load Unpacked Extension. And it's under New Pinehead, and you can see that we're loaded there. So next I'm going to come back to Yahoo and hit refresh. I'm going to inspect element and see if anything was written to the console. Well, it says page viewed variable is 1, table information is 1. If we go back to our code, we know that our page viewed is 1, our new pages is the same exact number. So if we refresh it again, both of these numbers should increment by 1. So it should be 2. Variable is 2, table information is 2. So what we've just done is created a simple page counter that every time we reload a page, it increments our number counting and then it restores it inside of our internal database. So really simple, nothing too advanced here. You can kind of see the importance of storing information locally on a user's computer for your extension. So now you have the proper tools to go in and be able to do this. Next, what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to grab remote information from a URL. Now, all we're going to do is we're going to grab all of the HTML code from yahoo.com. How do we do that? Well, let's get started. We're going to use app api.db.setFromRemote. And please be careful, guys. If there's for some reason something doesn't work properly, the first thing you want to do is check your capital letters. Check your capital letters and spelling because those are the two most common mistakes. Okay, so we have set from remote. We're going to have our external URL, HTTP, we do yahoo.com. Our key name, Yahoo code. We're going to set an expiration using the app api.time.days from now. We'll do 2 days. Next, we're going to have a callback function. Let's get rid of that. That was an extra quotation. Print. Okay, next we're going to have a callback function. So we have function. Let's give our callback variable. Well, it worked. All right. So now we have that's our success callback function, by the way. We have a fail callback function and a success callback function. So now we're going to do our fail callback function, which is function status. You failed. Okay, so what should happen is everything should be all of the code from yahoo.com will be downloaded and stored inside of this variable so we can retrieve it later on, or inside of this key name, stored on the local machine because it's internal storage to the browser, to the application, and we can retrieve it and do whatever we want from it. So what is a scenario we may want to use this with? Well, for example, you may want to use this to grab stock information. If you have a stock counter or a stock ticker application, person enters the stock ticker, it can go out to Yahoo Finance, it pulls that stock ticker back into your application, and there you go. So that's a perfect example of using set from remote. However, let's make sure that this worked. So I'm going to save it, but when I save it, what are we going to do? Well, we have no way of knowing if it worked until we dump that information and view if it's still there. So let's go ahead and do a console.log. Oh, what we need to do first is we need to pull that information. So we pull that information by we go back to using the get API, get function. So we'll do var result equals app API.db.get. Same thing, all we're doing is using this Yahoo code name. So Yahoo code. So we've just dumped all the information that comes from yahoo.com, which is stored in the Yahoo_code key name, inside of the result variable. And we'll do a console.log result. And let's go over to Chrome. Let's refresh our screen. Our increment count is 3. Table information is 3. And we have null information. Okay, but if we refresh the page, we know that our callback function told us it worked. And all right, here it is. So I just had to refresh it again. Something was messed up with the browser there. So all of the information that has been downloaded from yahoo.com, this is all the code inside of yahoo.com, all the HTML code that's visible. And it's in our console.log, just like we told it to. So all we did was did a simple URL retrieve of information, and then we exported it into console.log to verify that information was there. Well, guys, I appreciate you stopping by. I hope this explains how to use local storage with Crossrider and their new .db function API, or DB API. If you guys have any questions or comments, please feel free to ask, and I look forward to interacting with you. See you guys next time.